Hello, everyone. The three real Americans here, myself, Lee, Ty the Gunsmith, Tom the Bear. So, Ty, we're going to start this one off with you. So, back at the beginning of April, Breitbart News had an article that the Veterans Administration, the VA, is trying to fill 45,000 job openings. Now, the reason I wanted to talk about this is what seems so insane to me is that how many homeless veterans do we have? How many veterans do we have that aren't being taken care of? Incidentally, by the way, veterans over illegal immigrants and Islamic immigrants. Priority number one, take care of our veterans first. So here's my thought on this. We have 45,000 openings. How many unemployed, how many veterans out there need extra work, need to be taken care of? Now, I'm not saying that every single veteran would be capable of filling one of these positions. But you know what? How about job training? There's got to be a majority of these positions that some veteran could fulfill in some capacity, even if they're in a wheelchair, even if they're, have a few physical limitations that need to be accommodated. How many of these veterans could we at least start going through and seeing if we could not employ them at the VA? This is absolutely insane to me. Ty?
I don't know all the inner workings. I don't know why I'm sorry, it's echoing there. Of different VA, facilities and everything, but it just seems astounding to me that they could have that many job openings in an area where there's so many people willing to work. And they're veterans. I'm sure there's different things that you might have veterans with disabilities and different things where they're not going to work certain jobs where you're lifting and stuff. And there's a lot of admin positions and stuff. I was reading about that in there that these people could take. You can even probably have military admin clerks that have had years of experience in this sort of a thing that you could hire on. And I don't know. It kind of seems like there's polar opposite kind of effect happening here where you have all the jobs they need, and yet for some odd reason that some of their policies go against even being able to hire people. And I've actually witnessed this firsthand when I was going through to get my gunsmith training and several other things. Before I was able to get the schooling and them to help me out with that, I had to go in and talk to them about regular training and if I could come to work at the VA hospital. And when they did that, they basically had me sign a waiver saying, well, if we find you a position here, it'll only be part-time. And by the way, if it is part-time and you get the position, even though there's thousands of applicants, if anything happens while you're on the job, if you get someone injured, you're at a hospital, something happens, then that'll go on your own insurance, and you could be liable or culpable of the event and not the VA healthcare facility. Well, who would want that liability? Nobody wants that liability. So why would they have that in there if they need positions filled? They need to cut that kind of trash out and start filling these positions. There's veterans that will gladly take them and fill them.
Excellent points. And just for those out here, just for those watching the video, Ty was in the Marines. What was your rank, Ty, when you left? You were a sergeant, is that correct?
I got out as a sergeant, yes.
Right. So Ty is a sergeant in the Marines. He was over on a desert vacation in the early 2000s. So, Ty can speak to this. And here's my point. Number one, who better to help other veterans than veterans themselves? They've been through what they've been through. They can, for the most part. I mean, I know everybody didn't see combat, but veterans, it's a fraternity, right? It's a brotherhood, so to speak. And so veterans understand other veterans and what they've been through by and large, as a general rule. So that's number one. Number two, you're absolutely correct. Cut out the bureaucratic BS. And even if it's part-time, give these people a job, train them. Have the VA being a mass of other veterans working there, helping out their own, and taking care of their own. I'm all for that. This is just absolute absurdity and insanity. Tom?
Yeah, first of all, I love hearing Ty's first hand account of his experience. Obviously, it's always great to hear from our vets. They are wonderful, great people that definitely deserve a hell of a lot more attention from the Americans, a hell of a lot more than refugees or anybody else trying to get into this country. That's obviously, I think vets should come first, always. Um, but yeah, no, I agree. And actually, if you read in the article, they actually do talk about kind of like the bureaucracy that kind of is getting in the way and things of that nature, and that it does need to get overhauled. All I could say about that is get off your asses and let's make some changes so we can fill these spots with veterans. Let's get some veterans employed, and get them jobs, get them set up. To your point, Lee, there's just an understanding between vets that I think can be very useful um, for when you're a vet and you can relate to somebody else, when you can understand what they've gone through, what they've seen, and so forth and so on. There's just that instant connection of trust, and that's quite honestly that's who you want at the VA. I mean, if I was going to the VA, I want that level of connection. Somebody I feel I can trust who's actually worried about me and not the bureaucratic red tape that they got going on. So that's I'm all for it. All I can say is get off your asses and make those changes, so we can get some real jobs in there. Just as a little side note, I don't know if anyone has heard here about a veteran coming back who had to have a service dog with them, and he was having a hard time finding a job, and Lowe's out in Texas gave him a job and allowed his service dog to be with him. They jokingly say that the dog was hired as well, but you know what, Lowe's, that's awesome, that's perfect. That's the kind of support we need for our vets.
Great point. Excellent story. That's unbelievably true here. And the last point I want to make here on this topic is anybody who supports illegals and sanctuary cities, I am saying right here, you hate our veterans, because veterans should come first. Not one dime of taxpayer money should ever be spent on an illegal or an Islamic immigrant before our veterans are taken care of. Not one penny. So all these sanctuary cities, you hate our veterans. If you're a mayor of a sanctuary city, if you're a council member of a sanctuary city, and you are pushing to protect these illegals or to somehow placate the Islamicists, you hate our veterans, because not one penny should ever be spent in any form before every single American veteran is taken care of and off the street and given the benefits they deserve and the help they deserve for serving our country.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, you know what, Ty? I don't know if I've ever said it to you, buddy. Thank you for your service. Really appreciate it. Hey, everyone, that's what real Americans think.